idea that Wiz is the greatest, so no matter what he puts out, it's still gonna be the greatest. And me being an old Wiz fan, I've kind of realized I cleared my lenses. I got new contacts. I'm just like, all right, guys, like it's not what it is anymore, and it's time that old Wiz fans realize this. And it's a little heartbreaking and it's frustrating because you want him to win so bad, and he just doesn't.
Majid, is this album the nail in the coffin? Does this make you feel like you can move on and move forward, or is there hope here?
I'm gonna say this: when I put my Spotify up and pressed play on Black Hollywood, and I was gonna listen to this album, I was ready for disappointment. I went into it like, all right, man, I don't think it's gonna happen. And as many times as he had those little moments and those little things that we could sit here and defend, when I got to the end of it, I'm ready for next week, because I don't think this is something I'm gonna play again. And this one was the nail in the coffin for me.
It wasn't for me. I feel like no matter what, I'm still gonna keep the hope alive. Just like the opening track.
Wait. We want to have subjective opinions, and I understand you're a fan, but is there anything that you can realistically say is the reason why? Anything in this project that allowed that hope to exist, or is just off the strength of once upon a time he made brilliant work?
No, it is, like I said, I was listening to this and I'm pulling things from it, and I'm just like, okay, I kind of see that you still kind of have.
Well, didn't you get 2 projects this year? Like, if you can't compile more than 4 hot records from 40 records that he put out this year, then I don't know. I feel like it's time to let that boat sail.
I feel like it kind of started off on a high point, and then it was just a steady decline. I don't feel like it kind of went back up towards the end. I feel like the DJ Mustard track was trash. The Nicki Minaj track was trash. Like, I was just kind of hating listening to this towards the end. Yeah, I really wanted to stop and listen to Travis Scott, but I couldn't.
In summary, I just want to break this down for the podcast listeners that are listening to the Ether Report, Wiz Khalifa, Black Hollywood. The way I took the album was I took each of his records and I put them into groups. And I think this is the way he recorded them. I know Anonymous mentioned that a lot of these records felt like they were made for different audiences, and I agree with that. I felt like he had the anthems, classic Wiz formula to create anthems. Yeah. He had the top 40 reaches, and then he had Trap Wiz, a.k.a. Mixtape Wiz, which is every Wiz fan, young or old, loves that Wiz Khalifa. We want to get into the report card. I want to start with Anonymous and then swing it over to Majid.
I've probably listened to this thing maybe 4 or 5 times, maybe 6. And it was rough. I regret it. Nah, I'm just playing. I was trying to, give it a real chance and trying to look at it from a different point of view from myself and trying to understand it from how other people would see it, and then go back and analyze it from my view. And from the radio reaches to the trap and to the lackadaisical rhymes, I was not very impressed. Like I said before, I don't think I'm going to listen to this album again. If it weren't for Weed and Boys, I probably wouldn't have cared about this album. But I'd give it a 5.6 overall. Yeah, that's about it.
All right, so while I've probably defended Wiz like a lawyer throughout this whole entire segment, I have to go with the consensus opinion that this wasn't the best album of the year. This wasn't the best album of the week.
I would say out of the 5 or 6 that we reviewed, where would you stack it?
It's going to be the last one.
Okay.
If it's that hard for me to find something good in something, that says a lot about the project. And going into it, I didn't have high expectations. I left with just little talking points that I can have. As a fan of Wiz, this combined with 28 grams, I don't even know if I can anticipate another project from him. I'm gonna have to give this one a 6.5.
Nyght.
I'm gonna give you the grade off the rip.
If you want to start with the grade, that's cool.
5.8.
Nice. Why?
The production brought up the majority of the points. Besides that, there was that Currency, House on the Hills. That did really well for me. And I actually listened to this album 3 times. One completely sober. The other one, I was eating Wiz Khalifa cookies. And then the other one, I listened to it, again at work. When I heard it with the Wiz Khalifa cookies, I'm going to say I definitely liked one more song, and it was probably Raw. But overall, I felt like...
we didn't even discuss Raw, yeah.
With that said, his technical rapping aspect was very lackadaisical. Like, it was very... I don't want to say lazy because it's such a strong word, but I felt like he could have done a lot better than what he did. That's why I gave it a 5.8.
Asia. I leave you last or second to last because I know this album meant a lot to you. or at least this artist, and you were looking forward to listening to this.
I was. And the only reason I was looking forward to listening to this was because of We Them Boys. It created such a buzz for Wiz Khalifa. And then I listened to this album, and it was such a buzzkill. And I just...
So you went in on a high, left on a low.
Yeah. I left, like, completely on a low. And it was very upsetting to me. But at the end of the day, I still look at Wiz differently. I still, like I said, I still think that there's some kind of hope there. And, you know, there are certain tracks, like, you know, that I really do like the Sleaze and like House in the Hills, and even Promises is cool, and KK. And I know myself personally, I know if I hear this track on the radio, I'm going to bump it. But I know I probably won't even play this album ever again unless I hear it on the radio. And with that being said, I have to give it a 5.5.
Wow, you're the lowest.
Yeah.
That is a bit adorable. I'm not gonna lie. You seem like it hurt you to say that.
It does hurt me to say that.
I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. I think you guys kind of tackled the consensus of what this album was about. I will mention that I watched a lot of interviews with Wiz Khalifa, and he was very vocal about how he wanted to make big records. You don't go into the studio with Nicki Minaj, Dr. Luke, Jim Johnson, Adele. He even said he was waiting on a feature on a feature approval from Lady Gaga. This is another artist that we didn't mention. Quite simply, Wiz Khalifa didn't go into this album feeling like that he was going to put together a mixtape. That's why he gave us 28 grams. And whatever that was for his fan base. This album, he was swinging for the fences. And, you know, I gave you guys this very simple baseball analogy because if you look at baseball, Mike Trout and Chris Carter are amongst the lead leaguers in home runs. But every year you look at the league leaders in home runs, chances are they are leading the league in strikeouts as well. And that's because when you swing for the fences, if anyone's ever played baseball, you lessen your accuracy at a hit, let alone a home run. And I think Wiz Khalifa went in with that mind frame, and he wasn't scared. And I think that's where, to his day one Wiz fans, you guys are kind of enamored by his bravery. Like, you know what? I didn't really like that record, but I've never seen Wiz do that. And I enjoyed that. Or I didn't really connect with his heartfelt record, but I've never heard him talk about those issues. And for me, that is something that is a silver line in this cloud, which is a massive cloud. The only difference between baseball and rap is that if you get 3 hits out of every 10 at-bats, you're an all-star. In rap, it's not like that. And I honestly see Wiz Khalifa's career trajecting in a downward way. And I think that's sad for real Wiz Khalifa fans because they've already collected new rappers that they enjoy. And they're seeing one that they're nostalgically connected to dwindle into becoming more of a popular mainstream artist. And this has happened with Lil Wayne. This has happened with Eminem. This has happened with Jay-Z. And that's kind of the next chapter you graduate to is pop stardom. And you got to record records with the best of the best. Oh, let me not forget Nicki Minaj. So this is why he's recording with these artists. And I don't take anything away from him. This album alone, I probably would never listen to again. But I have to be upfront and say I was never a big Wiz Khalifa fan to begin with. I don't indulge in the KK lifestyle. I'm going to give this album a 5 flat. And to me, it had everything to do with the records. And some say the production was knocking, but I felt the production was pretty generic. I listen to modern hip hop. It sounds like everything that's already slapping. There was no progression whatsoever on this album.
No, I do agree with them. There was no progression on it. I just thought, even though for reaching out for a hit, it still sounded pretty good for a reach.
And to me, the highlights were Currency's feature and Project Pat's feature. And Chevy Wood's line about looking like a Build-A-Bear, genius. Absolutely genius. If you walk through Soho every day as I do, you see some Build-A-Bear looking characters. So that is the wrap up. Asia, I know you have next pick. You seem like you're in a daze right now.
I am.
I feel like you killed your best friend or something.
Went through a breakup
you
right
just
now.
have to do it. I keep glancing at her and she's looking at nothing.
I'm sitting here staring at a picture of Wiz Khalifa.
She was. She has been for like this last segment for sure.
I see like a little like a Pokemon tear just come down her face.
Yep. That's what's happening right now.
Yeah.
90.3 The Core, the Ether Report. I want to thank all you guys for tuning in. Hip Hop Panel, thank you so much. I feel like the air has been taken out of this room.